Cool. Hi guys, this is George from DoraHacks, and welcome to a DoraHacks workshop hosted by TRON. Today's episode will be hosted by Ijaz Merchant, Developer Relationship Manager at TRON, Agustin Cortes, Partnership Manager at TRON, Hunter Rogers, Community Relationship Manager at TRON, Stephen George, Community Relationship Manager at TRON, and Feroz Lakhani, Senior Partnership Manager at TRON. At DoraHacks, we're very proud to host this workshop together with Tron to give the community some insight and know-how on why Tron is a fantastic blockchain to use and how to deploy a smart contract on Tron. For a bit of introduction, DoraHacks is proud to support Tron on their latest hackathon, which is currently underway on the DoraHacks.io platform. It's a great opportunity to build on Tron and earn a share of the prize pool, and hopefully today is helpful to developers aiming to build on Tron. For anyone in the YouTube or Finance Live chat rooms, please feel free to ask questions as we go, and I'll ask these to the guys throughout the session. So without further ado, let's welcome the Tron team. Thanks, guys, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure.
Glad to be here.
Super excited to be here.
I guess we can just get straight right into it then. So, I'll do a quick introduction of myself, and then we'll go right into what the whole call is about. So my name is Hunter. I'm the community manager for Tron. And then here right now on the call with us, yes, we have DoraHacks, as well as we have a couple other Tron team members here to talk about some of the really cool things that we're doing, as well as mainly to explain our Hackathon Season 4. We're giving away $500,000, or technically 500,000 USDD in prizes, which is a very big hackathon. And we do these hackathons to support projects and developers and builders that need the funding to basically build what they want, build out their DApp, and just make their project be all that they want it to be, as well as help give it some exposure and really just help out the entire industry. So before we get into that and the entire slideshow and presentation, let's go real quick and do a nice introduction of all the other community managers and speakers that are on the call. So Gus, let's start with you.
Yeah, pleasure, everyone. Thank you, Hunter, killing it with the intro. So a little bit about myself. My name is Agustin Cortes. I'm a partnership manager here in Tron. I work very closely with the man with the amazing beard, Feroz. And a little bit overview of what a day-to-day looks like. It's essentially meeting with a lot of dApps and builders where we see if they're getting started or if they're already integrated on existing chains. Our goal is to hear them out and get them the resources they need to integrate to Tron. So we'll get into the details. Tron being a little different from EVM chains, being a TVM chain. There's some specification and clarification that needs to be done to get them onto the network. But all in all, it's great to be working at a robust L1. And then additionally, also work for Tron Academy, which is a program where we work with university students, where we're working with the future minds of the industry. So it's a really exciting time to be in the space. A lot going on every day, but all in all, I'm glad to have my teammates here. So I'll pass the torch to Feroz.
Hey, thanks, Augustine, for the awesome intro. So I'm on the partnerships team with Augustine. We work very closely together, talking to different dApps, protocols, whether they be industry veterans or new projects and new teams to the ecosystem. We talk to everybody and try to see how we can support them get plugged into our ecosystem and build services, tools, protocols for our community to be able to use and benefit from. It's a really exciting industry to be in, and it's honestly an exciting time to be in an industry like this. If you're into building, it's nice to see what's coming out of the woodwork during this bear market. And these hackathons are a great way to give them, like Hunter said, a platform for some visibility, as well as some funding to help them along the way. So it's really exciting. One of my passion projects actually is the Tron Climate Initiative. So it's something that we're working on as an organization. We've been very eco-friendly since day one. We've been on a delegated proof of stake mechanism, consensus mechanism, which we'll get into a little bit later. But we want to make sure that we're spreading the values of being eco-friendly, of being conscious and sustainable in our operations to the rest of the industry as well. So that's a big passion project for me. And yeah, I'm excited to talk more about the Hackathon and help some developers, submit their projects and get some visibility and some exposure. So with that, I will hand it off to our developer relationship manager, Ijaz.
Thank you for the intro, Feroz. My name is Agustin Merchant. I'm the developer relationship manager at Tron. My role consists mainly of helping developers push forward their projects, helping the hackathon push that forward and get more developers on the network to help build and grow the network so people can utilize some of the apps and some of the speed that Tron has. We'll talk about more about that in just a minute further on. My background includes creating iOS applications on Swift, using, trying to make apps on iPhones and Apple Watches and iPad. Then my career went into more VR work, more virtual reality and Unity game engineering and programming. That led me to working with a lot of GameFis and learn about crypto through that way. Was able to use that, and now I'm fortunate to be here with a great team at Tron, trying to push the movement forward for blockchain, and I'm excited to be here. So with that said, I'll move it on for Hunter, our community manager.
Yes, I guess I can give myself another quick introduction, and then we'll move over to Steven. And me and you will talk just for a little bit, Steven, as well, about, let's say, some of the cool achievements for Tron. But back to me, community manager for Tron. I've been involved in the community since the ICO. So since 2017, I've always loved the Tron ecosystem and everything we really stand for. And I'm very happy to be on the team now. I've been, I guess, officially brought on as a Tron team member and community manager since August of 2022. So it's been about 7 months or so, but always been involved in the community. And I've always liked what Tron stands for, which is to decentralize the web, give power back to the people, make the world a better place. And as of right now, a really big initiative of ours is to, what's it called? Not decentralize the web, but become the global settlement layer. So right now, we actually just announced our second country partnership, which was St. Martin. Our first one was Dominica, and we have a third major country partnership announcement soon. So yes, not only decentralizing the web is a huge initiative for Tron, but we really want to become the global settlement layer, which is why most stablecoin volume goes through Tron blockchain. So I really love what Tron's all about. The entire team's fantastic. Our community is amazing. Everything that we're doing is really just to help evolve the entire blockchain industry and set everybody up for success. We do these hackathons so people can get the funding and exposure that they need, as well as we even have an entire ecosystem fund, and it's an over $1 billion ecosystem fund to help out different projects and builders, developers, and even just community members that are involved and active in the ecosystem, just get some funding for their support, and really just doing everything we can for anybody across, doesn't matter which blockchain you're building on, but just to really help the ecosystem evolve. We care about the entire industry as a whole, and I'm very happy to be here and be a part of the Tron team. But let's move it over to Steven, the newest community manager.
Thank you. Yeah, so again, like Hunter said, I'm one of the community managers. A little bit of my background. I was a manager that helped facilitate a connection with the kind of user base and the developers of the company. And I hope to kind of bring those skills here to Tron to kind of relay some of that, the user base to the ground up. So before we kind of get into allowing Gus, Ejaz, and Feroz to go into building on Tron, I did want to highlight some of the kind of the strengths and the core differences that separate Tron from other blockchains currently. So kind of moving into that, Feroz mentioned earlier, we've been operating on delegated proof of stake. So we do have a lot of proof of stake like Ethereum. The main difference with delegated proof of stake is it's based on a democratic voting system. So this allows voting and delegation with the proof of stake. Why that's important, delegated proof of stake allows the average user to get a say on the development of the blockchain. So with the delegated proof of stake, you can actually use your tokens to vote for governance. So this gives the average user a little bit of a say in that development of a global blockchain. There's also additional benefits such as staking, which would allow you to get some free transactions on the blockchain. So a lot of interesting things with DPoS. So a couple other well-known blockchains that also operate on the DPoS model. We have EOS, Nano, and also Tezos. So I'm sure you guys have heard of them. But not only do we have the DPoS, Tron is the #1 blockchain for stablecoin activity. So we have over $40 billion in Tether on our blockchain currently. The reason why we have that, though, is because Tron is one of the cheapest and the fastest blockchains. So if you're on an exchange and you go to send US Tether, you're going to see that out of all of the blockchains, Tron is actually the cheapest and the most affordable. So whether you know Tron or not, a lot of people are gravitated to our blockchain just off the cheap fees and the fast transaction speeds.
Amazing points. Just wanted to say real quick. Yes. Keep on going though, Steve. What you saying?
No worries.
No, I love it. I like all your points are so good. And I mean, it's true, is that everybody does like to use USDT on Tron just because it's cheap, it's fast, it's efficient, it makes sense. And like you said, if you stake your Tron, then you get the free transactions, which is amazing. And I'm not sure of any other blockchain that might have that same like system or setup. But yeah, if you take your TRX and you just freeze it, then you can have free transactions, which is really great because sometimes gas fees are crazy.
Yeah, I think we're one of the only blockchains currently with this model. There are a handful of other delegated proof of stake, but with Tron, we have two resources, energy and bandwidth. And with these resources, you get them both through staking, and they can actually utilize those resources for free transactions. So if you're a DApp builder, and I'm sure Gus or Ejaz or Feroz will go into this, you can actually design your DApps to get those free transactions by utilizing the resources. So it's a really powerful chain. And again, people gravitate towards us without even really knowing, how they're transferring their USDT. But we're one of the main blockchains in the industry for that currently.
Yeah, and then another point too, I think be good mentioning is in terms of daily active users. Recently, Token Terminal came out and reported that Tron is the #1 chain with the most daily active users. And this is an interesting fact in terms that there's a lot of people using the chain, and relatively, as we've seen, where other L1s get more congested due to activity, gas fees come on board and there'll be high fluctuations. But with Tron's processes, the aspect of transaction fees didn't skyrocket due to the excessive amount of demand. So it's an interesting point that the platform, or say the protocol is robust enough to allow for literally millions of people to facilitate trade, and people won't have the pain points of the blockchain trilemma, right? So yeah, just wanted to get across that a lot of daily active users, and it's a global phenomenon too, that us here, we're in the US team, but as we've seen, a lot of use cases of Tron are at a global level, from the APAC regions to Europe and LATAM. So it's exciting to see from a global standpoint that the usage of the chain is really recognized. And the key points Hunter and Steve were mentioning is like it's relatively low fees. I remember one interesting story in person was when we were at a conference, someone came up to us and was like, hey, like I pay my employees in TRX because the network allows me to facilitate payment much easier. Like, oh, that's actually a really interesting use case. So yeah, it's interesting how people are using the chain for their own specialized processes.
I think that's a great point. To put in perspective with the average users, so Tron is at 1.6 million, which is the highest of all blockchains currently. To put in perspective, Bitcoin had about 670,000, Ethereum with 300,000, and same with BNB chain at 300,000. So
for
you can
daily
see
users.
This is for daily active users. So you can see Tron is already in the millions. And I think that goes to what Gus is saying. It's that global usage that's kind of putting us at that daily active users, because it's not just Tron in the US that's being used, or maybe in the West. It's being used all over the world, which is one of my favorite parts about Tron.
Yeah, and then speaking to like for DoraHacks and the builders here, like that's a huge market pool that you can leverage in terms like if you have a DApp, and this is what's interesting about building a product in the L1 game, right? It's you kind of select an L1 based off for whatever purpose, and you're kind of jumping into their user base already. So a good example would be like if you build your app on iOS, okay, you're going to be selectively using or getting users that have an iPhone or in the iOS ecosystem. And if you go to Android, then your option pools are different. Same for the L1 ecosystem. So the L1 that you select to build on will allow you to tap into the users, and the numbers are there that people are on this L1. It's a high leverage point that you can build something and people will gravitate towards it.
Yeah, you already have access to a high level of users if you decide to start building on Tron, which is another great attraction point.
Our community is absolutely amazing. Everyone's super friendly. Everyone's building something or just being involved. And anytime there's a new DApp that's out, everybody likes to jump in and be supportive. And there's always really cool projects. We have great GameFi projects like NFTs that are coming out. It's a really fantastic ecosystem, and Tron's continuing to evolve, continuing to network. Well, one of my favorite things, and I guess I'll talk with each of you. I'll ask like each one of you, like what's your like favorite achievement or something big that you're working on. And I'll go first, which would be is I really do like how Tron, we have a huge presence at most of the major conferences. We just got back from ETH Denver. We're going to, I believe it's NFT NYC next. And then right after that is straight to Consensus. Then there's Bitcoin Miami. Then there's Mainnet. There's so many big conferences that Tron likes to have a presence at, where we'll either be speaking or we have a booth and you can just meet the team. We love to like have all of us here, just like different faces that you can see, community members that you can talk to and engage with. We're always active on Telegram, active on Discord. You can meet us in person at these events. We really like to just network with the community, talk with different people, form different partnerships, and really do everything that we can to just help the entire blockchain industry evolve and be what everybody wants it to be. And just like I said, decentralize the web and give power back to the people. But I'll move right on to Gus again, and we can just move in a big circle. Is what is, let's say, your favorite achievement of Tron so far, or what is something really big that you're excited about that we're working on?
Yeah, I think for me, it's definitely been the academy, getting exposed to essentially the next generation of builders and
Yes.
getting the sentiment from the younger generation where crypto can be you can have a perspective that you're either for it or against it. And these are individuals that are ambitious and excited to be building for essentially a new type of future. And then when we've had in-person building or workshops, it's really good to see how they collaborate and a lot of creativity for the areas that they currently see are problems in this current infrastructure, and then they are going to be building the solutions for it. So I think getting that firsthand exposure is pretty priceless. And as a builder myself, it also makes it exciting that, you know, the industry is relatively young. There's a lot of friction that goes in between it, but at the end of the day, I think we are moving mountains, and it's good to see the builders come together.
We're moving planets. Like, it is crazy what we're doing. And I do love the academy, like all of the initiatives that we're doing there. And our very first one that we did in person, I believe that was in November at Harvard, which was a really, really good event where we had a whole bunch of builders come, and it was a 24-hour event where whoever could build like the coolest DApp within those 24 hours, everybody would win like different prizes. And it was a really good event. And I know you, Gus, Ejaz, and Feroz, you've traveled to different universities and even did like many like Zoom calls like this and academy workshops where you're helping students in person or online learn about Tron and teach them how to build dApps.
Yeah, if I could actually jump in right here. So that's one of my favorite things to do. So the combination of what Hunter and Gus both mentioned, right? Being able to go out to conferences and talk to people one-on-one, face-to-face is very powerful for us and for the community that we're meeting. Like, you know, a lot of people don't understand that it's just as valuable for us to get that one-on-one time with our community and with the users. But then, you know, working with Academy and with developers, doing the Harvard Hacker House we did last year, and you know, I hope we get a chance to do something like that again this year.
Oh yeah,
seeing that innovation and that drive from these students, right? They're the future leaders of our world, and so seeing where their head is at, what their goals are, what they're trying to solve, what problems they're trying to solve, was really, really inspiring. And yeah, along the same lines as Gus, you know, being a builder, it's nice to see people look at it from different angles and be able to have those conversations in real time. Like, we're all trying to figure out the same thing and we're going about it in different ways. So to be able to have that open conversation, especially in person, I think is very, very powerful. And so that's probably one of my favorite things that I do.
Love it.
Let me jump in real quick. I think for me, kind of to double piggyback on that, or as Gus says, double click, it's the education side of that. You know, we've had 3 hackathons last year and we're in the middle of one right now. I think hackathons, you know, having those opportunities to build is fantastic. And I think also from our side, as we create more content, Feroz, Steven, myself, and some others are building content on how people who aren't already in the ecosystem can come in, learn how to interact with the blockchain, because it's such a different network from what people are used to, having content to kind of view, understand, and then try for yourself. When you get more engaged, people who like to be visual learners can, you know, jump in, watch a video on YouTube or you know, on Twitter and kind of start jumping in. And I think that's the beautiful thing that we do, because we can create that and have people involved. And I'm surprised, Feroz, you didn't mention actually the fact that we were the most eco-friendly blockchains. I thought that's what you're going to say, but I agree with the education side as well.
Yeah, I try to talk about different things. I mentioned eco-friendliness and Tron Climate in the beginning. I try to focus more on the hackathon.
There's a lot of things to talk about.
So many, there's so many things that I'm really proud to be a part of. I just, I could speak all day.
Exactly.
So I guess to kind of close that off as well, one of my favorite kind of achievements, going on what Ijaz was saying as well, is the kind of UGC, the user-generated content that we're seeing, and then also the educational content that Tron is putting out. So we're really trying to reach out, like we said, to those visual learners, having that presence, seeing the people on Twitter or seeing the people like the Telegram videos that we're starting to see on YouTube. These were things that I feel like a blockchain needs, and seeing that social presence is amazing for Tron. We're active. You can see it in the numbers. You can see it on Tron Scan and how many people are using our chain. But to actually start seeing that user-generated content has been one of my favorite parts of 2023. And I think that's it's only the start. We're gonna see a lot more of that.
We haven't even begun. It's going to get crazier, bigger, better. Like, we're definitely expanding the ecosystem. We're doing amazing things. You guys maybe know the exact numbers, but like you said, last year, 2022, we had other hackathons. We're on the fourth one now. And I think it was like over $2.7 million that we gave out in total prizes. And then now this year, this is for season 4, and kind of what like this hackathon's all about is the 500,000 USDD in prizes for these different tracks. And we can get into the different tracks and talk about how you can enter into like different categories. And what's also cool about our hackathons is you don't even have to just be like a developer to enter in and win prizes just by being like me. I'm not a builder, but I'm just an active community member. But if anybody is active in the community and supportive, you can also win prizes too, and participate in the voting of like, which project do you like, and just giving feedback and engaging with our different hackathons. You can win part of that 500,000 USDD. So it's super cool with what we're doing. But if you want Gus, or if anyone else has anything super cool to say before we get into it, Gus, you can go straight into our presentation for the day.
Cool. Yeah. So it's been very exciting to give an overview, but now we can transition into what I like to call the why. So for context of an overview, I'm going to be focusing on the core question of why blockchain, why this industry is emerging, what value it has to bring to the world itself. And then once I conclude my presentation, we'll move into more technical hands-on operations with Feroz and Agustin. And then from there, we could do Q&A and just open dialogue. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And please let me know if I cut off or if something happens, because I won't have eyes on my feedback for audio or anything. So all in all, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it looks super good, and you sound pretty clear. And if I randomly hop off myself, it's just because I have a Twitter space to attend, but I'll be here for now.
We're busy. All right. Thank you, Hunter. Okay, so this presentation I want to call Economic State Machines. And by the end of it, I really want to double down on why blockchains are economic state machines and what that entails. So first and foremost, I want to cover the concept of value. Value is the reason we do everything, and it's the reason we don't do things. Every concept of philosophy really entails a value. Philosophy, by definition, is the study of values, whether it's individually or externally from society. And if we take a look of where we are in today's societal and technological progression, we're entering new paradigms constantly, right? But the core node, or the principle that is always dictating change, is value. And the way value gets tracked in humanity's history has always been an interesting experience, whether it has been just orally, religiously, metaphysically, whatever it is, there's constant evolutions to the concept of value itself. And what this derives is to it creates a systems of value. And here are just some icons to illustrate some systems. We have the system of technology, we have the system of education, the system of logistics, of information, money, commodities, society. And all of these things could be tied into like an ontological order that creates information systems. And if we tie the concept of value and systems, we get to see pretty much everything that humans have created, and even further, like the universe itself is a system to a point. But the thing about value is that we give it direction as humans, right? This is what, in some shape or form, is what makes everything human in some aspect. And I want to ask the question, what is the most universal system of value that humans have created? For better or worse, it's been money. So money has been the universal vehicle of encapsulating value, right? We can agree that if you get paid in a certain currency, that you will be receiving value. It doesn't matter if you're an extreme socialist or if you're a capitalist, there will be the borderline of acceptance to say, okay, money is some shape or form of value. And it's the most universal. It allows for human coordination. And perhaps it's the most complicated system of value. As we've seen literally today, there's so much change going on that these systems are very dynamic and complex. And it leads us to the question, okay, like, what can we do better? What has been wrong in the prior systems? And what is changing value in itself? And this is where blockchain really created a new paradigm for value. So when Bitcoin came around, it migrated the system of money into a new paradigm with introducing a ledger on the internet. That's pretty much what Bitcoin really solved, with it coming to a solution on how to fix the double spend problem, on how to promote or create a limited supply issuance of a commodity or cryptocurrency. What it did is it created a ledger that was, in aspect, decentralized, sovereign. Individuals could own their currency. And at the end of the day, it was just open. And if we go back to the history of money, well, when banks and fractional reserves started to come in, what they were really built off were ledgers, inputs and outputs. And that's what Bitcoin did. It brought the concept of a ledger of inputs and outputs, but allowed it to be decentralized and on the internet. So Bitcoin, with the UTXO model, it allowed this ledger to be on the web and encapsulate value essentially on the internet. Now, with technology always advancing, it evolved to a state machine. And if you do not know what a state machine is, basically a machine that will always update its output based off the input. So Ethereum, when it came around with smart contracts, it evolved the concept of blockchain just being a ledger to being a state machine. So the key clarification here was that Bitcoin was only tracking inputs and outputs for money. But with Ethereum introducing the state machine, it's now allowing any action to be put into the ledger. So all activity from someone signing a transaction or doing something, it could be encapsulated into a smart contract. That code could be compiled down and then added to the blockchain. So all acts could be added to the blockchain, not just financial inputs and outputs. And the key thing is that value equals changes. So in the concepts of physics, there's a law of motion that says an object will not change its motion unless the force acts on it. And it's the same thing on blockchain, because a blockchain will stay stagnant unless someone is causing a change. And the interesting thing about blockchain, perhaps the genius concept of it with computation fees, is that there will be a change if there's a reason for value. If people are willing to pay a fee to do a change into the blockchain, there has to be a reason, and that reason will be value. And it leads to all these questions of, like, what is value on chain? Is it NFTs? Is it signed transactions? Is it staking? Whatever it is, at the end of the day, humans are coordinating to do these actions that lead to changes, but it's based off value. So this leads to the creation of new systems, right? Cryptocurrencies were the first new systems of blockchain. Then it evolves further where certain blockchains want to focus on different concepts. They want to be more decentralized, or they want to be more centralized, but focus on scaling output. Okay, that leads to the node and the networks on what type of value they want to provide. NFTs can represent property. DeFi is a specialization of finance operations. DAO is leading into new types of corporations. Wallets with identity, education with alerts. All these new systems can come together and be created on chain, and it's just encapsulating value in a new vehicle. So this is what, in my opinion, blockchains are. They're a system of values for systems of value. And the interesting thing is that these L1s will be coordinating, they'll be working together, and an entire operating system of value tracking will be essentially its own ledger or a state machine at the advanced level, and it can talk to other state machines. And this is how global coordination at the internet level will scale out. So specifically for Tron, where there's billions of dollars being moved around every single day, it can be simply illustrated with this image that if these circles represent some form of value, then they're constantly moving up and down. Someone is sending money to someone else, someone's interacting with the smart contract, someone is staking TRX, someone is doing something for a reason, and that reason will be value. And at the end of the day, these blockchains are just the vehicles being used to do that. And the premise of this is that you as a builder, if you're watching this hackathon, is what will you be building that will cause this exchange of value? And this leads to the macro concept of, is your product introducing a specialized service? Are you solving a problem that people really need a solution to? And if it scales and you've done a good job as a builder, more and more action will be done on your DApp, which will interact more value exchange onto the blockchain. So all in all, to encompass, blockchains equal economic value machines. And remember, values create change. And these new paradigms are constantly happening with Bitcoin introducing just the ledger concept, Tron, Ethereum becoming state machines. There will be constant evolutions. And you as a builder, you kind of have to find the positioning on where you want to stay, where you want to build, and where you're going to position yourself. So just the illustration, once again, the systems of value will always be out there. Blockchains are new vehicles to get intertwined with. You as a builder, what are you going to be contributing to these blockchains? And as more and more people come on, you will be facilitating this exchange of value and getting it on chain. So that concludes my presentation. And from here, it's going to get exciting because we're going to be going into, we're migrating from philosophical, right? This was just the philosophical and the theory of why blockchain exists. Now it's time to get to the technical and actually know how to operate and scale this out to get into reality.
And before we even get into that, I was going to say, Gus, damn.
That was great. I love that.
That was amazing.
I've heard you speak a million times, but every time you speak, I feel like it's like I get that excitement all over again because it's
Thank you.
It's really good. And I'm glad this was recorded. I'm probably going to listen to it like 10 times before bed just because it's very valuable. Everything you're saying is like really cool.
Well,
like,
that's a great point.
A lot of it is in the delivery. Honestly, there's like a small evolution every time I hear something a little bit differently than I did last time. And it's like,
Yes.
oh my God, I got to remember that for next time I have a conversation. So, no,
Yeah,
thank you.
This is a good team right here. We got each other's back. We really do.
No, but it's a great question for developers to ask themselves, like what
value
solution and what value you're going to bring with what you develop. If you do build something that creates value or solves a solution or brings a solution, you'll see how that attracts users. So I think that was extremely well said. So
thank you. Thanks, guys.
Going on the virtual machines, one of my favorite concepts on that is the TVM versus EVM. So a lot of people don't realize that even though it's TVM or EVM, you hear these terms, it's just the Tron virtual machine versus the Ethereum virtual machine. But at the end of the day, a virtual machine is just a way to log or ledger, operations on a blockchain. So what's really nice about TVM, so Tron's virtual machine, it's written in the same Solidity-based programming as Ethereum. So if you've been building dApps on Ethereum, the conversion over to Tron will be very easy because the systems are, again, TVM versus EVM. There's not many differences there.
Well said.
Good point. Yeah, because that's one of the biggest things that perhaps dissuades people is when they see that a chain is not EVM, and just in general clause, because most builders are in the EVM.
Right.
Is you see that if they got to migrate or learn a new language, it's a friction point. So the fact that Solidity based and the dev tooling is relatively similar, it should be an easier experience for builders to make that transition. And
Absolutely.
That's another key point too about building on the blockchain or being a blockchain builder is that you could be multi-chain. Like if you ship on one chain, you can add your chain, or you can add another chain to your dApp, and then you're just focusing on that pool of users and add another chain. And it's really cool that dApps can have multiple chains in their pipeline.
cross-chain is the future.
It is.
So it just makes sense.
Cross-chain interoperability. That's the way of the future. So
Mhm.
There you go. Perfect. And Gus, it was great to hear whenever you talk about the what and the why. I think that those are important things to kind of understand before you figure out the how. And I get the pleasure with Feroz and I to talk about the how, and you guys are also free to join in and talk about it because these are great questions and realistic things of how we build. So the first thing I want to talk about was smart contracts and Tron. And as Gus mentioned about smart contracts, just want to see, mention a little bit what he said about why they're important. So smart contracts, they pretty much power these DApps, the decentralized applications, and those run on that blockchain, and they provide almost the rules and the logic for how these DApps are supposed to run, kind of the structure of how you can make these, as I call them, pinky promises from one transaction or one party to another. And so on Tron, the best part about is that smart contracts, just like everywhere else, they're very customizable. And on Tron specifically, they allow very fast transactions, which I think is one of the benefits of Tron, as anyone here can kind of tell you. The low cost and fast speeds is one of our greatest assets. Which Tron, allows Tron to make these smart contracts make it ability to be a high volume applications and blockchains. So just to summarize that, smart contracts are like the building blocks of the blockchain. And on Tron, they are super fast, customizable. So that's kind of the why. And so let me share my screen, and I'll kind of just dive down for a couple of DApps that are on Tron that we can kind of use to help build. Give me a second.
You have a little guest, Joss.
yeah, and Hunter, we know you might have to hop out because you have that Twitter space. So
Yeah, we can.
I'll give it 10 more minutes. I'm watching like on the side. If you see me looking around, it's because multiple monitor screens and
It's
my phone's like right here.
multiple monitor lifestyle out here.
That's right.
A lot of screen time. And
Oh my God. Have you seen my screen time?
Same in your life. Get older and wiser.
I think the most screen time I've ever had in a day was like 16 hours, like with my phone.
Yeah,
So
yeah, me too. Me too.
usually just watching the charts and then like replying to people and then a whole bunch of YouTube tutorials. But yeah,
Yeah, one
always
time I did
always working.
a building session. I was on Zoom for 16 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Straight.
That's
building.
not bad.
dedication.
Sounds, yeah.
A little warm up.
You're down that rabbit hole, man. Sometimes it's hard to get out.
Once you start, you don't want to stop. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
Once you learn something, you have 1,000 more questions. And then every time you learn something new, it's like you do get smarter, but there's so many more questions where you feel like you get dumber. So then you just keep learning. And like you said, that rabbit hole never ends.
Yeah.
It's a beauty of education.
To me, though, I say, like, I learn a lot when I'm deep down in those like rabbit holes of research and building and troubleshooting. I end up learning so much. Maybe 2 days later, I jump out and I'm like, whoa, where have I been? What did I learn?
Like, that's how you got the beard.
What year is it?
It's exciting. I love it.
How you grow a beard.
For sure.
It's how to
grow
a beard strategy.
I think that same mindset can kind of apply to some of the DApps here because a lot of them are pretty complex. I'll go through a couple of them, not to overextend it because it does get pretty technical. But one of the first ones I want to talk about was Tron Web, which is a development framework. You can use like JavaScript APIs to kind of allow developers to interact with the blockchain. Here you can kind of create, deploy smart contracts. You can kind of query the data on the blockchain as well, and also send and receive TRX, which is a native coin of Tron. So this is an essential tool for any kind of DApp. And if you've played or worked with Ethereum, it's a little bit like Web3.js. So that's one of our main DApps here on Tron. Another one that I'll not go too deep into because Feroz will later on exhibit how to use this with a smart contract, but this is basically Tron IDE. Now, Tron IDE is just an integrated dev environment. You can kind of think about it as the remix for Ethereum. If you ever use that, that's almost the same exact situation here. It's a code editor. You can compile your smart contracts. You can debug it for issues, and there's great ways of going about that here. So it's easy to use for developers. And the best part is it's kind of one of the best ways to have a user interface with the blockchain. That's always a very helpful situation because the blockchain may sometimes be abstract or difficult to understand. And so having a tangible thing to work in is a very helpful situation. The two more I have is Tron Grid. Now, Tron Grid, if you ever heard of Infura on the Ethereum platform, it kind of acts like that, where it provides a set of APIs that allow developers to, query the blockchain data. You can use it to kind of understand more information and get information from the blockchain, like accounts and transactions. If you've ever used Tron Scan, that's our way of understanding what's happening on the blockchain, and this is kind of work with that as well. The last one I'll mention is kind of our environment, and this is a way, Tron Box is a way to simulate the Tron blockchain in your own computer, your local server, your environment, to really get an understanding of what's going on, play with it before deploying that contract to the real world of blockchain, because since it's immutable, you can never change it that one instant. So you can test here in a sandbox environment without having to deploy, and then kind of fix your mistakes, learn how what you're doing wrong. So this is more of a technical side of it as well. And if you ever heard of Truffle on the Ethereum development and other EVMs, this is kind of our version of that. So these tools allow us and developers to build the platforms. It's almost like sandboxing or Legos, right? When you build Legos, you're building piece by piece, and these Lego pieces essentially help you understand how these tools can be used to create a DApp, or making an NFT project, a DeFi project, a GameFi, which are some tracks we have on the hackathon right now. With that being said, I'll kind of let the main course of this workshop go to Feroz, as he will show you how to do a smart contract.
Awesome. Thank you, Ijaz. And that was a nice little run through of some of the tools and resources that we have for builders. And as you saw, that was all located on the developer documentation for,
What was that website? That was developers.tron.network?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll add it to the YouTube stream here so we can have it.
Nice.
All right. So is my screen being shared? Is anybody able to see my screen? It doesn't look like it's sharing.
No, look, yeah, we
Yep.
can see it.
Can see
Looks good to me.
Perfect.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. So yeah, this was basically where Ijaz was. So this has a ton of information. So whether you want to learn more about the protocol, the token standards, smart contracts, what they do, how they work, pretty much anything that you want to learn, you can find it here within our developer documentation. Today, I'm going to go through, this is what we use for a lot of our smaller workshops and presentations. We have what we call the appetizer course. So this is the shorter course. We're going to walk through deploying a standard TRC20 token. So if you work or if you interact with any sort of EVM blockchain, whether it's Ethereum or one of the other ones, of ERC20 standard tokens. So it's a basic cryptocurrency standard. There are a few smart contracts that fall into what make that standard up. So we're going to actually get into it right here. So we're going to take a look at the smart contract for our TRC20 token. We will have this workshop shared. So if you want to follow along later on while watching this video, you're more than welcome to come here and use our download links and follow along. So the smart contracts involved are going to be, we have the ITRC20, which is an interface contract. We have the safe math contract, which helps do all the math behind the logistics of the token interactions. It actually it's basically made to rule out an entire class of bugs. So when it tries to do math, some things don't necessarily work right. So this one pre-built smart contract will fix a lot of.
This is what saved the YK2000
yeah.
overflow underflows. Exactly.
So
the zeros too many.
Exactly.
And it'll revert, when there is an overflow. instead of causing a whole different plethora of issues. So this is not anything that you have to personally mess with. These can all be found within the token standard contract. So again, we have the interface contract, we have our safe math, the TRC20 basic contract, the TRC20 detailed contract, and then last but not least, we have our token contract. So for those of you that are going to be following along later, I'm going to make this super simple for you. So you can follow through to our repo here for the token template. You want to go over to the code and download that zip. You'll see in my download folder that I've downloaded it previously. And as soon as you download it, so this is the zip file, and you will have an unzipped folder. If you're on Windows or Linux or anything else, you may have to unzip the folder manually, which should lead you to these same 5 Solidity smart contracts. Now, as Ijas mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to be using the TRON IDE development. So it's the IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So we've basically taken, Remix, which was a very easy to use dashboard to be able to launch smart contracts on a traditional EVM network. We've kind of forked a similar page to allow you to do the same things, the same functionality. You can create or edit smart contracts within this platform. You can compile, you can deploy directly either to a virtual machine, like an internal virtual machine on your hardware, or you can inject it directly into the TRON blockchain based on which one you're connected to. And we'll get into that in just a second as we're deploying our test smart contract. And then, of course, you have some extra extensions that I can either activate or deactivate. I'm going to leave these in here because we need them to be able to compile and deploy our smart contract. If I had some extra debugging or tests that I needed to run, of course, I could always activate some of the extensions down here. But for the time being, we will leave them inactive. So first things first, we have downloaded the standard smart contracts for a TRC20 token. Now within the TRON development environment, we see there's a default workspace and we don't have anything else in here. So we can either clear this out or create a new one. For this, I'm going to call this the DoraHacks Workshop Workspace. And within this, you'll also see the standard contracts that come built into a new workspace. We don't actually need any of these for this example that we're going to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and delete them so they don't interfere with what we're trying to do. We can also clear the tests folder. Now we've got a clean workspace to start with. And again, so if you're a beginner developer just trying to learn and understand how these things work, this is probably going to be the easiest way for you to get started deploying your own smart contract, creating your own cryptocurrency. So make sure you have a clean workspace here. Then you want to click this upload icon. It will pull up your Explorer. Again, whether you're on Windows or Mac, it should pull up like an Explorer window. You can go over to your downloads folder and select the 5 files that you want to upload into this workspace. And they're very, very small files. They're like 2 kilobytes each. It's just like 10, 20, maybe 30 lines of text within each of these. And then, like I said, so you've got them uploaded here. Now we can take a look at these contracts if you like. We're not going to spend much time on what is in these contracts right now. Again, if you want to, you're more than welcome to go take a look at these smart contracts yourself. If you have questions, we're happy to help. You can find us in our Discord, Telegram group. There's a few different ways that you can get in touch with us and our team, and so we can definitely help walk you through what these smart contracts do. So we've got the safe math here. This is the one that helps with the calculation with the overflows and underflows. We've got the TRC20 contract, the detailed contract, and then, of course, the most important one is going to be our token.sol. And I know it's tiny, so it doesn't usually look like it's very important, but this is going to be the most important one with what we're doing at the moment. So if you want to deploy a new token, this constructor argument within the smart contract is going to tell the blockchain what type of token it is, what the name of it is, what the symbol is, how many decimal points it has, and it will also send the function to be able to create these tokens and put them into the wallet of whoever is creating the smart contract. So as you see here, mint message sender, and then this is the volume of tokens that's going to be created. So just a simple breakdown. Like I said, we're not going to go through all these smart contracts, but in this one, to show you how this works, we're going to rename the token.sol to
Dora token.
Is it Dora token?
Dora token.
Dora token. All right. I was going to do Dora hacking, but I like the Dora token. Nice and simple. Here, we're going to call it the Dora token because I like to have 3 letters to put in the symbol. And so it's going to be the TDT token, 18 decimal points. And then we're going to come down to the next line. And so this is going to be 10 billion tokens. Somebody throw out a random number. How many tokens should I create?
9,000.
Yeah, that's a better number. I was going to give a bad number, but yeah, that's good. 9,000 is good.
9,000.
9,001.
Wonder what the bad number.
So it's over 9,000. Yeah, 9,001.
It's over 9,000.
All right, well, you know what? I'm going to put 9,001 here. So I think this is going to get into, this is 9 trillion now. But I put 9,001. Let's see how many this creates. Again, so this is the constructor argument, as you see here. So this is going to tell the blockchain that we are going to construct these TRC20 detailed that will give it some more information when it jumps to this contract, which will import the interface contract. And then, down the line, we've got all of these contracts now imported through the import tree that starts here at the Dora token.sol. So again, without getting too deep into this, what we've done so far is opened up our own integrated development environment. Nothing needs to be installed on your computer. If this is the first time that you're doing this and you want to just get your hands dirty, you simply go to tronide.io. Then you can head over to the Tron. Again, we'll share the link to this workshop Git book. But you can also go to our GitHub. It's simply Tron Partnerships on GitHub. You can download the 5 smart contracts that are uploaded here as part of the TRC20 token template. And then you are going to upload them into a clean workspace. So 3 simple steps: open Tron IDE, download the smart contracts, and then upload them into the Tron IDE workspace you've created. Now, the next piece is where everything can break down. So if there's anything wrong within your smart contracts, the compiler will fail and it will bring up either yellow or red lines and tell you exactly where there are issues in the smart contracts. So here we're going to go ahead and compile Dora token, which is going to compile all of the smart contracts behind it. So I'm going to cross my fingers and make sure everything goes well. Big money, big money. Awesome. So we've got the green check mark, no reds, no yellows. Everything is standard. Everything is good. Wasn't expecting anything to go wrong, but you never know. So it's good to see that everything was able to be compiled properly. And then we can jump into the deploy and run transactions tab. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the different wallet options. I personally use the Tron Link wallet. That is the standard wallet that the majority of people I know use on Tron. And so it's very similar to MetaMask if you've used MetaMask or any other Chrome or browser extension wallet. So I keep this Tron Link wallet right here. All right. So we keep this Tron Link wallet signed in. Now you can take a look at the top. You'll see which network that you're connected to. So generally,
you can see your Tron Link window, just your browser.
Oh.
Yeah, yours might be maximized. So I try it again.
All right. So yeah, I am sharing this entire window, but it looks like for security purposes, it does not allow it to show any extension information or the extension graphic. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to present my entire screen. So
careful.
That could be dangerous.
Let's hope for the best.
Your seed phrase.
Hide all your private keys.
Also, if you don't have Tron Link, you can go to tronlink.org to download it onto your Chrome browser or any browser you're using, like Brave, or I think those are the only 2 options, and Mozilla Firefox.
And Firefox, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to
All
hop
right.
off real quick for my Twitter space. Guys, keep up the
Good luck.
amazing
Good luck,
work.
Hunter.
Go kill it, Hunter.
Talk
We'll
soon.
see you there soon.
Good luck.
See ya.
See ya. All right. So now I hope.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. So in this case, so I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick where you can check the network that you're connected to. So we have Tron mainnet. We have a couple of providers there, Tron Grid and Tron Stack. We have the Shasta testnet as well as the Nile testnet. So for this example, I'm going to be using the Nile testnet mainly because I have a lot of test TRX within my Nile wallet. And you can also see I have some TRX staked to be able to earn some energy and some extra bandwidth. So you get 1,500 bandwidth a day in the traditional Tron account on the main network. So I've staked 950 TRX to earn a little bit extra bandwidth, as well as 950 TRX to earn a little bit extra energy. I think the smart contract may take more. This may cover about 20% of the energy needed for this particular smart contract deployment, but anything I can save when it comes to deploying a smart contract, I will take it. In the future, I can always stake more TRX to make sure that I've calculated for enough energy to be in my wallet so that I don't have to pay anything for a transaction. But this will show at least a little bit of the concept of why staking TRX into the network is such a powerful feature and what benefits you can get out of it. As Stephen mentioned earlier, you can also build this functionality into your smart contract. So if you have a DApp that's going to be user facing, you want to make sure, especially new users, if you're trying to go for mass adoption and you want people that aren't necessarily that comfortable with using a blockchain, you want to make sure that you can assist them and not make them purchase a native token so that they can learn how to use your DApp. You want to be able to offer them free transactions so they can just sign up, run a transaction, see how easy it is, and see how valuable it is. And then they can start going down that rabbit hole. You don't want them to get stuck on, oh, this doesn't work because I don't have these tokens. Where do I get these tokens? And then you kind of lose a lot of people within that pipeline. So this feature, I think, is very, very valuable. And yeah, so that's just my 2 cents on the staking Tron feature when it comes to earning energy and bandwidth. Very useful if you're able to use it properly.
And if you're interested, Steven actually, allow me to butt in real quick. Steven created a video on how to stake on Tron. So that'll be, I think, either released soon or already out. So worth a view to check out how to do staking on Tron.
Yeah, I'll see if I can pop that video in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. I've actually been looking for a video like that. I just kind of messed around in Tron Scan and started staking. I saw the new Stake 2.0 tab, and that gives you a lot more power within how you stake, and then unstaking a certain amount instead of the entire amount that you had staked. Gives you delegation options as well as earning energy or bandwidth, whatever you choose to earn by staking your TRX. It seems very user friendly. I will have to do a deeper dive into it later on, but I definitely recommend anyone that doesn't have experience with it to go check it out. And if you have any questions, Stephen will be posting a video link so you can learn more about how to use it. So that being said, jumping back into deploying the smart contract, here you see we've got plenty of TRX within our wallet. We've got some energy and bandwidth. And most importantly, you want to make sure that you're connected to the proper account. So since we're running a test version of this smart contract, we want to put it on a test net, whether it's Shasta or Nile is your choice. But I do not want to deploy this to the main net if I'm not 100% certain that everything is working properly. And the best way to test that outside of doing it privately on your local machine is to test it on a live test net so you can see what interacting with a real blockchain, as well as other smart contracts and transactions that are happening to make sure everything works properly as expected before you deploy your final version onto a mainnet. So connected to Nile testnet, you will also see within the Tron IDE UI, when you select injected Tron Web, it's going to use your Tron Link wallet. So whatever you're connected to in Tron Link is what Tron IDE will pick up and automatically connect to the same network, which for some reason it doesn't seem to be picking up for me. let's try this. Let's change networks and see what happens. All right.
I'm invested now. I'm invested.
Dude, I'm invested. I'm refreshing this bad boy. I might have to re-upload the contracts, which is okay. Connect. Had another window pop up on the other side. All right, so we got the DoraHacks workshop. We got the Dora token contract. Everything is still there. And we're going to jump back to the deploy and run. Oh, there we go. Looks like it connected this time. So let's remember, double check. Looks like I am on the Nile testnet. Here, I'm going to jump into injected Tron web. Awesome. So that pulls up my account. You'll see I've got 2600 TRX. So we know that it's connected to the correct account. I've got TRX staked, so it's not showing you the same number it shows here, but it is the correct account. And you can also check your address, like the last few letters of your address if you'd like, just to verify that it's the correct account here. So that being said, we're going to jump down to our contract box. Oh, do we need to recompile? Looks like we need to recompile because it's not displaying. Okay, now that we've refreshed, recompiled, now we've got the option to pick from our smart contracts. You do want to make sure that you're selecting the token contract, or if you've renamed it, your new, in this case, the Dora token contract. It will, again, import the other contracts within that tree, and everything should be deployed at once. So we're going to select the Dora token contract, and everybody cross your fingers. 3, 2, 1, and we're going to deploy. I will bring this signing window up here. So as you can hopefully see, so we've got the create smart contract, which is going to cost us 6.176 TRX, or approximately 37 cents. And then we've got 6,000 bandwidth being consumed. So I believe that's still a little bit higher than what I had in stock in my wallet. All right, so that was quick. Down here, I'll expand this up a little bit. You can see the block here with the transaction hash from address to the token constructor, the fee, the cost. Now, a lot of times, because it does take a couple of minutes for the validators to process these transactions that get sent, and on the testnets, they generally work a little bit slower too. So one option is to copy your transaction hash and go check it in TRON scan. I'm going to use my little trick just because I don't like to waste time, and a lot of times, if we're doing it this quickly, it won't show up quickly enough for what I like.
And make sure you change it to the right testnet since you're testing. I think you're on mute, bud.
Oh, Feroz, your mic might have muted.
Oh, we lost it. No, amigo.
He's attempting to get his audio back, but now he's just checking his transaction on Tron Scan.
I'm trying to read his mind.
Give us the play-by-play, Ejaz.
Well, he's on his calendar now. Oh, take your calendar off, buddy. There you go. All right. So he should be checking his Tron scan. He's double checking the number hash. He's copying that bad boy to Tron scan. Let's see what he does. Oh, he's actually on mute this time.
Okay. Can you guys hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I unplugged my microphone. Now we're just going back to traditional laptop mic.
It sounds good, though.
Okay. All right, cool. So we've deployed the smart contract. Now we're going to go back to TronScan, and I'm going to show the last transaction that was made. It's probably processed at this point just based off of the technical difficulty timing. But I'm going to use the method that I normally use anyway, which is searching for my wallet and then seeing the last transaction that was made just to verify that the smart contract has been deployed. So as you see, 2 minutes, 45, 46, 47 seconds, we have the smart contract that was created. And now we can follow that through and see more information about this smart contract. So it usually does take a few minutes again. So the network is very fast in terms of running the transaction. The smart contract has been sent out to the blockchain and it is currently being processed. The amount of time it takes for it to actually run the smart contract, construct tokens, and or whatever else that you may have programmed into it does usually take a little bit longer. So as we continue this conversation, we can always come back and see what's updated. Once you see the name of the token, you'll be able to go into the token page, see how many were created, who they were sent to, and then follow through with any other transactions that you may need to make. You can also add that token into your Tron Link wallet with just a click of a button. It's very, very easy to use. And again, I can usually show a little bit better example after a few minutes once everything is processed and the tokens have been created. So we can jump back and take a look at this when that's done. In the meantime, I can actually run through a second version of deploying a smart contract. I'm just going to do like a 15-second rundown. So you saw me use the Tron IDE, which is the browser-based development environment. You can also use Tron Scan. So this will show you some screenshots of Tron Scan, which also allows you to upload your smart contracts directly into the Tron Scan UI. It makes it a little bit easier to verify your smart contract once you've deployed it as well. But the one caveat is that Tron Scan does not allow you to edit your tokens or edit your smart contracts. So you will need a third-party code editor to do that. If you want to use this method, there are a ton of free code editors available online. So I recommend learning a little bit about Solidity, learning about editing smart contracts, finding a good code editor that you're comfortable with, and then possibly using this method to deploy your smart contracts directly through the Tron Scan UI, which again will also help you verify your smart contract much easier that way. If you've edited them externally to upload to deploy them, you can also just upload those same exact smart contracts into the verification UI and verify your smart contract that way. It does help make it a little bit more trustworthy because that way your users, whether they are technically savvy or not, they can either go audit the smart contract themselves, take a look at it, see exactly what's happening under the hood, or they can get someone else to go verify that the smart contract is safe for them to use and make them a little bit more confident in the DApps that they're engaging with. And if that is something that you're providing, then you definitely want your users to feel confident in utilizing the service or protocol that you're putting out into the world. So making sure that you have a verified smart contract that people can feel safe and confident using is very, very important. So that's my 2 cents. I'm going to refresh this one more time. If it doesn't show the token information yet, then I'm going to throw it back to Ijaz and we can keep moving from there. Let's see. So it's confirmed. This is the contract address. And it looks like it may still take a couple more minutes to fully register and show us the token information. So with that, I'm going to throw it back to Ijaz. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. That was amazing. Appreciate you going through the entire Tron IDE process of deploying a smart contract. That's kind of the base bone of how to create a smart contract. But for most developer projects, that'll just become highly more complex, depending if you're doing for a DeFi project, Web3, NFT, GameFi. We have 2 additional ones this year or this season. One is the Builders track, which is a track for previous hackathon entrants who want to utilize their project that they entered and kind of build on top of that. And then there's also the eco-friendly one, which I think Feroz, you might want to mention one last time so people get understanding. But essentially, it's an eco-friendly track. Any way to provide a better sustainability project on Tron. And I think Feroz, feel free to add on top of that as well.
Yeah. So it's actually it's a very open-ended track, right? We want to have the ability for anybody to submit a project that's related to sustainability, long-term eco-friendliness in the blockchain space. Whether it is an NFT project that's aimed at raising funds to, purchase carbon credits or renewable energy credits. We have one team that we were talking to that was working with some farms that are placing, sorry, that are outfitting entire farms with solar panels to be able to generate energy to be able to provide to local communities, as well as power all of their operations using that solar powered energy. And so there's a lot of different angles. There's a lot of innovative ways that people are looking to make sure that not only that their projects and the things that they're working on are efficient and eco-friendly, don't emit a ton of carbon, and that their infrastructure and their processes try to use renewable energy sources whenever possible. And when it's not possible, we can also try to help with funding for purchasing carbon credits and renewable energy credits to kind of bring down some of the negative effects that we are putting out into the environment when we don't have any other choice. We can always leverage other ways to try to bring that down and to try to even it out. So, if you're focused on sustainability, eco-friendliness, making sure that we leave this earth, better than how we found it, we encourage you to start building something now. If you're already working on something, please submit to the eco-friendliness track in the hackathon. It's something that I'm really passionate about. Again, I'm proud to work for a blockchain that is so eco-friendly that it's been kind of a focus. It's been a quiet focus, but it's been a focus of this chain since its inception. It's always been one of the most sustainable and least carbon producing blockchains in the industry. And it just never really got a lot of attention for that. So that's something that I'm passionate about. And if we can attract more developers, builders, users that are focused on the same things, that would be a big win in my book. So yeah, that's what I got about the eco-friendly track.
Good stuff.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So those were our 6 tracks. Thank you, Feroz, again, for beautifully explaining what's going on for eco-friendly track. So I think that's going to wrap up our workshop today in terms of the technical side. I know that George on the other side might be wanting to ask some questions, and from the audience as well. So we don't mind going into that as well. So any questions, George, feel free to go ahead and shoot. But
yeah, cool. Thanks for your presentation, guys. Absolutely fantastic to hear from you guys and all the stuff that you shared with the audience today. A question that I did have was, did you want to chat a little bit more about the hackathon and what you guys? I mean, I know you touched on what you guys want to see, but what are some things that really interest you, and where do you think some builders can really focus on developing for this hackathon?
I can chime in on terms of kind of area of utility for the ecosystem. We've seen a lot of DApps coming in around from DeFi sector. Tron has a strong protocol called Sun.io, which is basically the Uniswap. But DeFi, it's in a sense like it's the Lego piece of finance. So new DApps that come in around and they add new capabilities or functions to the DeFi ecosystem on Tron are a strong progression for the network, right? There's a lot of things happening on the EVM chains that are hyper specialized on DeFi that haven't migrated over to Tron. So I think that's a good window for builders to realize there's stuff on existing chains that haven't migrated over to other chains. And if they're already solving a solution on the prior chains, then bringing it on could be a given in terms of value to the network. So some specific progressing the DeFi capabilities on the Tron ecosystem.
I would agree. And I would also want to add, I would love to see a lot more direction on the GameFi side. GameFi side, I believe, has very great onboarding use for blockchain, and I believe with account abstraction becoming a thing since East Denver, I believe that's a great way of using GameFi and almost pushing it to the next level of where it could be, where you can have a contract that can already have activity going in the background without having to sign, which could sometimes ruin the GameFi experience. So I think that the marriage of something that we can do account abstraction and GameFi could be a great thing to see, especially with what's going on now.
Dude, I wanted to mention literally exactly that. So like account abstraction and just to focus on security in general, user security and user adoption, like easier onboarding, which account abstraction really helps with both of those things. And then secondly, I think from ETH Denver, a lot of us got a lot of the same sentiment from the market of security focused. And then the GameFi sector has really kind of jumped ahead and moved away from browser-based games into overlaying some like really well-developed games and integrating assets in a more easy to use way, in a more frictionless way for non-Web or non-Web3 natives. And so I think anything within that realm is already like primed for success. And I'm really excited to see what comes out of those. But yeah, that and NFT projects have been like kind of slower than what they have been in the past couple of years. So seeing a nice change in direction for NFT projects, bringing them more like actual everyday utility as opposed to just like assets or token gated content, giving it a little bit more unique and innovative utilities in NFTs, I think is also a very powerful place that has a lot of opportunity right now.
Yeah, I think my only 2 cents on that as well would just be, regardless of what you build, whether it's, GameFi, DeFi, please try and utilize the Tron resources with the energy and the bandwidth when you build your DApps. It's definitely something that you can work in there, and it'll, it's kind of my my song and dance. If you guys can work that in there, I think it'll be really beneficial for the DApp.
That's a great point, and I definitely want to just add a little more to that in terms of Tron ecosystem is utilize the forum. If when you enter the hackathon, utilize the forum. That forum is going to be your best friend in terms of exposure for your application, for your project, getting organic and natural engagement on what your project can do and suggestions is a great way, almost like a mini Discord for your project during your hackathon. I think it's an underutilized feature of the Tron hackathon.
Sure, perfect. So in terms of non-builders, right? What's the best way for non-builders to get involved in this hackathon?
Ooh, I'd love to take that one. Yeah, I mean, Ija, as a non-builder myself, you guys are all builders. We do have up to $5,000 that can be awarded for just average Tron supporters. So on the Tron forum that Ija has just recommended, there is a section where you can post ideas about different projects. So we have a whole forum section for the projects that are already involved, and you can read through them. And if you have suggestions, even for the hackathon itself or certain projects you see out, we do monitor their responses, and we have up to 10 people that can share that prize of 5,000. So you don't have to be a developer. You don't have to be somebody who has a lot of technological knowledge. You can just be somebody who is passionate about the blockchain and want to spread, some good ideas about how we can build and develop.
That was my answer. Yes, verbatim. That was one we said. Thank you.
No, absolutely.
No, that's great. That's really good to hear because there's not a lot of opportunities for non-builders when we're talking about hackathons. So that's great. That's a great thing that you guys have included in this hackathon. So that's it. That's all the questions that I've got on my end. Did you guys have anything else to add?
One that comes to my mind that is a big push on Tron and even just the world overall is AI. So Tron did create an AI fund, and as I've been dabbling that rabbit hole, which is a whole nother world, one thing that I think is pretty exciting that can be leveraged is with OpenAI allowing for chatbots or AI interfaces to be leveraged. It does allow for like a strong window for blockchain and crypto to be integrated, where you kind of just leverage the AI and specialize it for whatever sector you're building around. With that component of the AI doing like the UI and the front end user experience, tailor that experience in whatever format, and then use blockchain technology to provide an additional service. So I think that's going to be an exciting play out in the upcoming years, is meshing both AI and blockchain. It's difficult to do, right? It's both areas that you need a in-depth understanding to build something strongly. But for those long-term ambitious builders, I think that is a very strong area that I do believe in a couple of years we're going to be seeing some strong companies in the AI sector that are leveraging blockchain tech.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure.
A real world example of that, too, Gus, we just partnered with Oriya Chain. So Tron and Oriya Chain are now working together. Oriya Chain has some great AI technology. They're a layer 1 AI crypto, but their whole basis is on oracles. So an oracle is a kind of a smart contract that's already been given an assignment, but the AI handles it. So one of the use cases was, imagine if you're developing an NFT project, you could put one of the oracles in your smart contract to automatically search for a counterfeit or fake NFT. So one of the things, if you're an NFT buyer, is this a real one? Is this a fake? It's one of the main questions. With Oriya Chain and some of these AI oracles, you can just throw that oracle into your smart chain, and it's doing that verification process for you. So kind of going on what Gus is saying, it's really kind of hard to fathom how it's going to evolve over the coming months and years, but you can use these AI oracles to automate a lot of these problems that we're currently having. And you can use that AI oracle in a project you're already doing. So for somebody who's doing an NFT-based project, you could put that oracle in your smart contract, and it's automatically, giving you some benefits without you having to have the headache on it.
Yeah, and then what you said triggered some thoughts on kind of the builder pyramid. I think there's levels and kind of identifying where you want to play out and kind of evolve from there. So, for example, higher level builds would be consumer facing products like an NFT collection, where it's relatively lighter in technical scope or in areas of building. And from there, you can take a look like, NFT specialized contracts, or leveraging or AI for NFT contracts. And then if you want to take it a next level, you can look into infrastructure. And there's many sectors to be a builder in crypto. And I think identifying the point of like, I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on consumer or a little bit more on infra, that does allow a direction and positioning for area focus, because we can't be doing everything. You can't be building like an NFT collection full time while trying to tackle some core infrastructures. You could, but I'll take a loss. But just kind of identify where you want to be.
Focus is key. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, focus. Yeah, especially in blockchain. A lot of things grab our attention out here.
Yeah, that's very true.
Cool, fantastic. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for today's workshop. So, and thanks also everyone in the crowd for joining us today. Very special thank you to the Tron team for sharing their insight into Tron and how to easily build DApps on the Tron network. We really do appreciate your time and efforts for bringing us such a wonderful workshop today. As mentioned previously, the Tron Hackathon is currently underway on our platform, DoraHacks.io, and ends on the 15th of April or 16th of April, depending where you are. So there's still plenty of time to get your submissions in. There are some great prizes to be won, as we've spoken about. And it is also a fantastic opportunity for you guys to join Tron, which is a growing blockchain community, which we're really proud to support at DoraHacks. So if you do have any other questions that wasn't covered in today's workshop, please feel free to reach out to the Tron team via their social media channels, Discord, etc., or get in touch with the DoraHacks team, as I'm sure would love to help you out. On DoraHacks, we do have a range of sessions like today's coming up in the future. So please feel free to follow us on YouTube and Binance Lives to stay up to date. And thanks again for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again soon and speaking to you soon.
No, thank you for having us, George.
Pleasure.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George.